There's the hammer.
Give her a little black.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the City Council to order. Today is Wednesday, March 22nd, and it is 6:33 p.m. I would like, Gary, if you wouldn't mind doing the land recognition?
Happy to do so. We acknowledge that the Nisenan people are still here among us today, though nearly invisible. We understand that we are on Nisenan land that has never ceded, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As a resident or visitor in Nisenan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people, as well as their campaign to restore federal recognition.
Thank you. All right, if everyone would stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. What would you like to lead us?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Council, now it's time to adopt agenda. Anybody have any modifications? Make any changes, pull consent items, or do we have any recusals or anything like that? Not hearing any, I'm looking for a motion and a second to adopt the agenda.
I move that we adopt the agenda.
I second. Lou also seconds.
Okay,
I
so first by Councilmember Fernandez and a second by, I'm going to say Lou. Councilmember CC.
And if we could do a roll call, sorry.
Oh, I missed that. Oh, wait, so Russ Hildebrand from the City Attorney's Office is joining us today on Zoom. And Deputy Clerk, can you call the roll?
I will.
I missed that line.
Councilmember Cici?
Here.
Councilmember Klein?
Here.
Councilmember Peterson?
Here.
Councilmember Fernandez or Vice Mayor Fernandez?
Thank you, Gabby. I am here.
And
You can just call me Doug. I'm here. Present.
Mayor Fleming?
Yes. All right. So the council just met in closed session on one item, the public employee performance evaluation of the city manager. The council adjourned from closed session about 6:30, and there was no reportable action. All right. So we have a presentation today. Tim Brown, come on down. Dan, you're gonna. Okay. You don't have to carry him.
So just kind of carrying on with our tradition of new employees. Tim's not necessarily a new employee. Where'd you go? Sorry, right. Tim's been with us since actually about 2010. So started as a volunteer with the police department, moved into the capacity, well, he did several things there, and then moved into the capacity of parking enforcement officer about 3-4 years ago, right, Tim?
Yeah, about that,
Tim's very supportive of the whole community. Him and his wife can be seen and around about town at pretty much all our events. The reason he's here today is we recently brought him on board as to a full-time parking enforcement officer.
Yes.
When we did that, there was no question for it in my mind. Not only does Tim write quite a few tickets, about 30 to 40 a day on average, what's more important to me is he's excellent for this community. And what I mean by that is, it's funny when I go to events, a lot of people try to tell me they're like in secret, you know, just so you know, he tries to give us warnings first. And it's like, I don't want him to do that. I very much want him to do that. He's famous for going into businesses and saying, hey, I'm looking for the owner of this vehicle. They are about to expire. And if there's no other options, then he does do the citation. Even when we were snowed in during our last Snowmageddon, Tim was out there shoveling a lot of stalls. One of our cars was completely buried, took him about all day, but he shoveled that out. He was trying to shovel people out of their driveways. So we're very proud of him. He's great for the community. He is a parking enforcement officer, but really, in my opinion, he's much more than that. He is community outreach. He's out there every day contacting the community, and we get almost no complaints about Tim. It's amazing when you can get a parking site and somebody comes in and thanks us for the guy that gave him the ticket. So, Tim, you can say a couple words here.
Not a big public speaker. Anyway, I'd like to thank the chief here. It's a wonderful community to work with. Great, city council, wonderful police department to work with. Everybody gets along fantastic. One of the things I did emphasize is it's a small community. The more you know about the community, the better off you are, especially with businesses and the people that come and visit us. Making them feel welcome is a big asset for Nevada City, and that's what I try to promote, so.
Thank you, Tim. You know, I'm sure a lot of us would like to thank you individually. I see you out there more than anybody, I think, and I know you're out there, and I've seen you have nice conversations with drivers who might not be from the area, might not be so nice. I'm from New York, where people will get into fistfights over tickets. They will tow your car, and it's just so nice to have, a personal touch to a thing that's not necessarily a nice interaction. And, the fact that people are coming here, I've never heard of anybody thanking for a ticket, but if you can make that happen, Tim, you're doing something pretty amazing. So thank you for being part of the community. Thank you. You're the face of our community. I mean, you're a lot of times the first person somebody sees that's, from the city. So thank you for making it so nice.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And congrats on joining us full-time.
Yeah, that's important. Gary.
So a friend of mine said, what is that guy? He's like the mailman, rain or sleet or hail or snow. I mean, he's always out there. So great work, great ambassador for the city. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to do a proclamation. It's Women's History Month, if anybody doesn't know that. And we have a wonderful proclamation that was suggested by one of our council persons.
Guess which one?
Well, it should have been done by all of us, of course, but thank you for doing this, Danielle. All right, I'm going to read this. This is wonderful. Proclamation, Women's History Month 2023. Whereas the month of March was selected as Women's History Month to coincide with the United Nations sponsorship of International Women's Day, which occurred on March 8th, 2023. As a time to commemorate women's rights and peace, and whereas women of every race, class, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, and ability have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our city, our state, and our nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas women have influenced and advanced every facet of American life and culture, the strength, ingenuity, and spirit of our female leaders, innovators, and pioneers shape our nation's character, government, industry, families, and communities. And whereas women have significantly influenced public policy and contributed to the building of viable institutions and organizations that continue to support our communities today, and the knowledge, skills, and abilities of women contribute to a more robust workforce and a more prosperous economy. And whereas women have been leaders not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, industrial labor movement, civil rights movement, peace movement, and more that aim to create a more fair and just society for all. And whereas in remembering the trailblazers of the past and the heroines of present day, we honor their legacy by carrying forward the valuable lessons learned from the powerful examples they set. And whereas we recognize the countless accomplishments of women within our own community who teach our children, care for our sick, serve in our military, start businesses, serve in elected positions, or venture into unknown frontiers. Generations of women have had to overcome obstacles put in way of their achievement as we reaffirm our commitment to supporting the next generation of female trailblazers and dreamers as they carry forward this distinguished legacy. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Nevada City hereby proclaims the month of March 2023 as Women's History Month, and hereby encourages its residents to learn more about the rich and diverse history of women through available programs, reading, ceremonies, and educational activities. Dated this 22nd day of March 2023. And that's it. Beautiful.
Thanks, Doug.
Did you read that? Did you write that?
I did not write that.
It's
It
really
was
well
written so
written.
beautifully by our city manager, Sean. Thank you for reading it. I think it's much more powerful when a male council member reads it in solidarity as opposed to the single lone female council member.
Well, that's a good point, and thank you for making that distinction, and I was honored to read it, so thank you for allowing me. Okay, so we're going to go to public comment. General public comment. So, Government Code Section 54954.3 provides that any member of the public may address the city council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow the council or staff to discuss issues brought forth under public comment. The council cannot take action on non-agenda items. Concerns may be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda item. Please note the comments from the public will also be taken on each agenda item at the time it is heard. All right. Is there any public comment in the room? No. Any public comment online?
We do.
Oh, good.
We have Judith Lowry. Go ahead, Judith. Address the council.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Judith.
Good evening, hello. This is Judith Lowry. I live in Nevada City, and I'm here to address the subject of the land acknowledgements. As you know, I am a quarter-blood California Indian. I am an enrolled member of two bands of the Mighty Pits, the Pit River Nation of Northeastern California, and lineal member of the Maidu tribe from Greenville stretching down into Susanville, or what we call Ponce River. When I first heard these land acknowledgements, I was intrigued. I thought it was really great. I thought, yeah, about time. But as time has gone on, I started to do a little research about them, and it actually is a subject of great controversy, even among the tribes and my own people, because it's in danger of becoming performative, something that you use, something that people burnish their own political reputations with, something that's politically correct, but do they really feel it? And so I started to think about that, and I thought, well, the answer is, and this started in Canada, and it has made its way around the world, to all Indigenous people who need to proclaim themselves, and yet what it really means is that each of you leaders and every council around the world is responsible for your local tribe. It's not just a pan-Indian thing. It's really about where you're living and what you love about this place and what you need to know to be leaders. And so I think that you don't want these words to ring hollow. You don't do this to feel good about yourself. I know that. I know all of you. I live here. But we have to avoid the superficial, and we have to get down to brass tacks, and we have to understand where we are. And I years ago, I helped to found CHIRP, which was meant to broaden out the narrative, to bring it in, all the leaders into the story. You're responsible for learning the history, the past, where they are in the present and in detail, and where you hope to shepherd them into the future, a thriving future, because they deserve it. I love all of the families up in Nevada City Rancheria. I applaud them for surviving. But we can't have any what they call slack division. It's slack activism or something. It's where you're only going through the motions. You have to feel it, and to feel it, you have to know it. I would ask you to look at the Doris Foley collection now, which was nothing more than a pamphlet and a report by Doris Foley until I was able to get Susan Hanks from the state library, and she was in charge of Native studies, Native American literature in the libraries. And she came up here and got him a $40,000 grant to expand those collections. They're there for you to peruse, to go sit in this lovely, beautiful treasure of a library that we have close to the big courthouse. And I hope that the courthouse becomes an expansion of that library, because there's so much more to tell. So in seeking this knowledge, I would ask you to look at Tanis Thorne's book on the Nevada City Rancheria. Seek out all the families, do everything you can, because it is your responsibility. And as far as the land acknowledgement, here's what I think. I'm looking at it as somebody who's been around Native politics since I was in my 20s, which was back in the 60s and 70s. And we I think that actually a beautiful, and I'm an artist, right? A beautiful something in the building you're sitting in, behind you, it's just this blank wall all around you. It's an Art Deco building. We have the talent. Instead of just having to recite this thing every time you have a meeting, because we already have to do the Pledge of Allegiance, right? So let's move it on and make it part of the building, the way they did in the WPA days. Make it beautiful. Put that land acknowledgement so we don't always have to say it. So it's not always coming from voices that might not feel it. And I want to advocate for the arts, for our local tribes, and for my people up north, where I'm going soon to open a business up in Susanville, my hometown, which we call Pomsawim. And I'm going to encourage them not to practice slacktivism or whatever they call it, or surface level activism. It has to be deep. And for that, you must be educated. And please seek out this knowledge, seek out all the families, seek out all the stories. You and every level of this government in this county, please. I beg you. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you so much for that. I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about that offline, so I'll reach out, okay? But thank you for your heartfelt
Yes,
words. I
anytime.
really appreciate it. Anybody else, Gabby? Not to just move on, but.
Is there anybody else out in Zoom land who would like to speak on items not on the agenda? We do not, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. I am looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as is.
I move we approve the consent agenda as is.
I second.
All right, we have a first by Adam and a second by Daniela. So this is the one we can voice vote on, or do we have to do roll call?
You can do a voice vote on this one, but everything else needs to be roll call.
I got reprimanded, so, so I want to make sure.
But Gabby's happy to do a voice vote
Yeah,
anytime.
let's just do, I don't want to get in trouble. Roll call,
Aye.
please.
Councilmember CC.
Yes.
Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez.
Yes.
And Mayor Fleming.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so consent agenda, move forward. All right. All right. Oh, I see. These are roll call votes. All right. So this is the public hearing, and the first item is to conduct consideration of a public notification of high turbidity for the city's public water system. And I'm going to ask, oh, he's already here, our wonderful engineer and public works director, Brian, to lead us on this one.
Good evening. So we sent out notices to all the addresses that receive water service in the city about a turbidity exceedance that occurred in January. And customers have a right to know what happened, and what it was.
Can you explain what turbidity is for those who?
Yeah, it's cloudiness in the water, and it's just from suspended sediments in the water. And we filter that, but during the storm events in January, we had some exceedances that exceeded the allowance that were allowed under our permit. So we reported that to everyone, and what can happen is the turbid water can affect disinfection. We don't know of that occurrence, though. It's just that's what can happen with turbidity. That's why I try to keep it low. So this is a public service announcement. It's also a chance for us to kind of assess how we do things at the plant. And we can do things differently by just taking the plant off, or the reservoir, the water coming into the reservoir, take it offline.
During a storm or something?
Right.
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
So.
Cool. I just, that was for the public. I read all this stuff.
Sure.
So, thank you. So, what else is, where are we in this process?
This is simply a report as required by code. We do have to report things like this and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Will it happen again?
I don't believe so.
Good answer, good answer. All right, I'm going to ask if any of my esteemed colleagues have anything. Gary?
Yeah, just a couple of
Mr. Water?
Turbidity could be many things. You know, it's what makes the creek run brown, is turbidity, with dirts and stuff. But, you know, specifically what Brian's addressing is concerned about is possible some bacteria or organic matter that could be contaminated in some way, that it all gets measured. But we're in pretty good shape. It's extremely common during big storms for this sort of thing to happen. And it's not where you want to be, but it's not unusual either, given the conditions that we've experienced this winter. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, that's correct.
Cool. Anyone else?
I was thinking the same exact thing.
Yeah. It took the words out of your mouth. Lou, you got some?
I received my turbidity announcement in the mail today. I'm a little concerned about the wording. Is the wording fixed, or can we manipulate it a little bit? Because I have two suggestions, if we can.
I don't believe it's fixed. I mean, we're kind of describing some of the code sections.
Yeah. No,
As part of the awareness.
I don't want to make suggestions if it would violate some code that you have to say this paragraph in this way.
We did take from the state's model
Yeah.
recommendation on their finding, right? But we could add additional information if the council desired. Is that your
Yeah,
understanding?
there's some leeway there.
Cool, because I have two suggestions. One is, there's a statement in there that says you should be aware of your water safety, but there's no statement following up saying how they would do that. So how would an average citizen find out about the condition of the water that they're receiving through their faucet? So a link maybe at that point?
Okay, yeah.
Secondly, there was a whole paragraph that says, this is not a health concern, but this kind of water contains pathogens. Those two statements seem to be contradictory to me. So I would like a clearer statement.
Okay.
It contains pathogens that are dead, pathogens that have been neutralized, or just floating stuff that's not going to hurt you, but would have if we hadn't treated it. Something like that. But as it stands, it's contradictory. It says, don't worry, but here's the things you should worry about.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's a little suspect.
Yeah, and
Thank you,
good.
Lou.
Thank you.
That's good, good feedback. If we have I'm sorry, you look ready to go.
I was looking at Gary.
Okay.
He was making an
He's
amusing
not ready.
remark.
Are you?
I got my letter today. I appreciated it. It seemed clear to me. I didn't read it as closely as Lou, apparently, but it cleared up the questions I had by the existence of the letter. I was like, what is this about? And then I learned
Cleared
what
up.
it was about. So yeah, thanks for sending it out. It sounds like there was what could have been an issue, and you guys acted, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we're trying not to get in the habit of like fire and forget, because it would be easy to just comply and send this out by mail. But that loses the opportunity to, I mean, we're not obligated to take this directly to the council, but it loses the opportunity for direct public comment and for questions and for it to be recorded, and for somebody to say, I heard about this, and, you know, call into City Hall. So we really appreciate the comments, and if you have further or the community has further, they can certainly reach out to Brian or to me, and we'd be happy to. Hopefully this never happens again, but in our next communication on the next thing that happens, whether at Water or anywhere else, we'd love it to be, you know, in a better format to be received in the way it's intended. So thank you for this.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
All right, thank you.
We don't need to take a vote on this, or?
Just, it's a receive and file, so if you
Receive and file,
could
yeah, we're
vote
fine.
on it, it'd be
Okay.
appreciated.
Thank you, Brian.
A vote would be appreciated?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm going to look to Gabby.
I
Oh,
move,
we need a motion.
I move we receive the file, a report.
I second that.
Thank you. See, you're teaching me something, Adam. I appreciate that. Thank you. First by Adam, second by Lou, and a roll call, please.
You were testing me on that one.
No, I wasn't. I was just confused.
Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
Tricky.
Councilmember Cece.
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez.
Yes.
And Mayor Fleming.
Yes, thank you. All right. So we're going to talk about fraud. The item number 12 is a consideration of an adoption of the city fraud policy, and
Talk about clarity.
just leading with that, and we have our wonderful interim assistant city manager, Steve, here to help us out on Zoom. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council. So as you probably already know, the city underwent It's annual independent audit for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2022. You will be receiving that report at your next council meeting. One item that did come out of that audit that was noted by the independent auditors was that the city did not have a fraud policy. So as such, staff has developed one for your consideration this evening. This policy is one of many that we will be developing within the upcoming months to strengthen internal controls and enhance best management practices citywide. So just briefly, the city fraud policy provides definitions for the various types of fraud that can occur, who the policy is applicable to, the responsibilities of the various parties, and the procedures in conducting a fraud investigation. In addition, the policy also provides a section on training new employees on the city's code of conduct and the city fraud policy. If the council does adopt the policy this evening, current staff will be trained on this policy immediately. So there is no fiscal impact as a result of this action, and our recommendation tonight is if you agree with the policy as it is written, we would like you to consider adoption. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. First, I'm going to see if we have any public comment in the room, any public comment online.
If you would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand, lower right-hand corner. We do not, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. So let's hear what we have to say. Anybody want to start? Anybody? We'll just go around the room. Gary?
Nice, clear policy, Steve. I like to see policies that I read them, they make sense, they're clear. Nicely done, thank you.
And concise. I appreciate the conciseness.
Not a lot of verbiage. One of the things I would like to know, and not because I'm considering committing any fraud, but it's pretty clear that this doesn't apply to council members. Or is it? I mean, that's a question, because you could read, I read some language in there that you could, it says officials, but there's no mention of us, and usually we're carved out. We have the FPPC to deal with as far as our fraud and conflict.
So this policy would cover the way I wrote it, and I could obviously make it clearer or based upon your input and your final decision this evening. When I mention elected officials, that would include the city council. It also includes commissioners, anybody that works with or for the city of Nevada City,
Just saw
basically.
officials. So, yeah, sorry, I mean,
It's under general policy and responsibility, number 2, it says each elected official.
okay, I missed that, because I saw officials all in there, and I didn't do that. And I just wanted to make it clear, because sometimes we're included in some employee type, or not included in employee type policies, yeah. So thank you for that clarification. I will change my habits immediately. Does anybody else, oh, I already asked you guys, I think. No, nothing else? Okay, we have a new policy, and,
I was going to ask some.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, so this would also include people, for instance, on our Fire Safety Advisory Committee members? This would apply to them as well?
They are approved by the council.
So this, again, this policy would include anybody that is appointed by the council, elected officials, staff members, even contractors. This policy is wide-ranging.
Good question.
And this was a gap that is basically filled in because we didn't already have this policy, but we really should. Do you know offhand of any examples of something like this before, obviously before this council, certainly, but was there any history here?
Steve wouldn't know, maybe, because
Yeah,
he's
he's
not
new.
here, but we've had, so I think,
It's
what?
also a human resources issue that we wouldn't talk about specific.
Yeah, but my question sort of dovetails on that is, how did we deal with fraud in the past?
Yeah.
Yeah, jail time.
Yeah, so there would.
Clearly we didn't.
There wasn't a policy that would have a consistent application. Now, under this policy, there would be, and who would investigate it, what they would do to it, what the reporting chain would be, that it would be reported and returned to the council. And then in this case, anything that is investigated and has a finding has to be reported to your independent external auditors.
Okay.
And so that is the check and balance that gets, if they are aware of fraud that has occurred, it will become part of their report as well. And since you're the arbiters or the acceptors of the audit, as it were, that takes the opportunity for management to hide something away, because it has to be reported to the auditors, if that makes sense. Steve's a certified fraud auditor, and he could say it better than me, but
Oh, that's great.
I also, can I just say, I want to zoom out a little bit for people who might be tuning in and being like, oh gosh, there was no fraud policy. A lot of our work as a council for the last year and even year with Sean and then onboarding Joan and getting new leadership at the city and on the city council has been to sort of pick up the pieces where we haven't had policies or processes or certain regulations around thing, and just kind of cleaning house and tightening ship and making sure that we're running by the book. So just putting this in the larger frame of how we've been navigating over the last year plus.
Thank you, Daniela. That's a good clarification, important to let people know.
Not a meeting has gone by since I have been here where something or another isn't being straightened out, cleaned up, or revised so that it's current and useful. So,
Yeah, and this is good. I'll tell you, in grant world, they make sure you have a fraud policy, a civil rights policy, and all these policies. So it'll help us with that front too. So thank you for the great work, Steve. I think everybody's pretty excited about it and happy. So great job.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
I move that we consider adoption of the city fraud policy.
Great, I second that.
All right, a first by Gary, a second by Daniela. Can we get a roll call?
Councilmember Ceci?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez?
Yes.
And Mayor Fleming?
Yes.
Passes
All right.
5-0.
5-0. Wonderful.
Steve?
Thanks,
Thank you, Steve.
Oh, it looks like Amy's coming up. All right, number 13, consideration of adoption of Resolution 2023-10, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Nevada City, California, approving a permit for in lieu parking payments for the Brewville Outdoor Dining Beer Garden area located at 300 Spring Street. Yay.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council.
Thank you.
So the Planning Commission approved a conditional use permit at their meeting on February 16th to allow the conversion of existing parking and walkway space for an outdoor dining beer garden associated with the Brewbuilt Tap House business at 300 Spring Street. Among the approved entitlements was a variance from the 14 off-street parking spaces required to serve this expanded business space. Planning Commission condition number 7 requires that prior to the building permit issuance or any site plan improvements, the property owner shall adhere to any in lieu parking payment program as determined by permit resolution of the City Council. So they've been approved, they have an entitlement to operate. It's not really valid until their in lieu parking fee permit is enacted, which is administered by the City Council, which is what we're doing today.
Excellent.
Current in lieu parking fees are set at $4,500 per space, which amounts to an in lieu payment of $63,000 for the 14 required parking spots. Staff has been working with the applicant and is supportive of a combination of in lieu parking payments along with alternative parking mitigation strategies if the property owner chooses to enter into a contract with the city. Staff and the property owner are supportive of the reduced parking demand calculation based on amenity exchanges as outlined in the staff report, and I'll just go over them sort of briefly. The property owner would agree to provide location, foundation, and electrical connection for 3 on-premises gas-style street lamps. The property owner would provide racks to accommodate 8 publicly accessible on-site bicycle parking spots. Property owner will provide racks to accommodate 4 bicycle publicly accessible off-site bicycle spots. Property owner will be credited for street parking where their driveway entrance used to be, but now won't be there and so we can use that space now for a parking spot. And then finally, the property owner would provide 2 architectural designs for a 1 dumpster and a 2 dumpster solid waste enclosure to the city for the bins that are kind of out sometimes in parking spaces. Based on those amenity exchanges, staff supports a reduced parking demand that is equal to 5 spaces, which would reduce the in lieu fee amount to $22,500. Staff is recommending that a payment contract be prepared allowing the property owner to pay the in-lieu fee in monthly installments over a period of 1 year from the issuance of their certificate of occupancy. Staff is therefore recommending that council adopt Resolution 2023-10, which approves the in-lieu payment of fees in exchange for providing on-site parking and authorizes the city manager to execute a contract with the property owner herself. But they are here. I'm sure they could answer any questions if you have them for them. Also, we do have about 3 other pending applications that are in the queue that will probably be coming in with similar proposals.
As far as parking?
Yeah, they will all, so they're all expanding their business space. None of them have enough parking to expand. Probably none of them have enough to expand.
Okay.
So, yeah, so they'll be asking for in lieu payments as well.
Is this, I just hope this gets into our parking study, this kind of, Okay, so, thank you, Amy. Do we have any public comment on this? I see Dan Reinhardt in here, and Dan also is part of this process, possibly, as far as the wall going outside, which would provide a lot of continuity with other wonderful architectural features in town. No public comments in the room. Any public comments online?
If you'd like to comment on this topic, please raise your hand.
All right,
We do not.
let's just go around the table. Lou, you want to start?
Yes, just a clarification. It sounds like we lose 14 spaces from the variance, but we get 5 spaces back mitigated by amenities. Does that mean we have a net loss of 9 parking spaces?
They'd essentially be paying an in lieu fee for 5 spaces and then providing these amenity exchanges to make up for that extra 7.
Okay,
And it doesn't mean we're losing those parking spaces, correct?
Well,
Not technically.
So they have, so Planning Commission already approved a variance for having a reduced number of parking spaces on there. And they have 3 legal spaces there now. Those have been approved to be removed, but in order to, I guess, finalize the entitlement, they would still need to pay the in lieu fees.
but is there a net loss of parking spaces?
There will be 3, there are 3 spaces that are there now that will be gone.
So, just 3.
Just 3, yes.
Do we have many other variances been granted recently?
Well, this is how, so our code specifically allows us to have a process like this for businesses that are expanding in the historic district. So it's not really something that's allowed in other places, and that's just to acknowledge that most buildings are built out to their property lines and really can't expand their parking areas.
And there's
or
not too
provide
many
parking.
places around town to expand it either.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, that clarified the issue of how many we might lose. Okay, thank you.
Danielle?
No questions right now, but come back.
Gary?
Yeah, so I watched the Planning Commission meeting, and it was quite a deliberation. It's great to see the Planning Commission working so well together with great leadership, Amy. I think this is an important project. I think one of the things to think about with parking on that site is there were parking stalls on that site that weren't really available anyway because of the way the parking was blocked off. I think I sort of was rooting for it in the sense that anything that improves that corner, we should really get behind because of the old gas station and parking lot. But I like the way that the negotiation was done here, the creativity and looking for solutions and getting to a manageable fee and then working with that fee to get it paid over time. So I think this is the kind of thing that we need to see in our businesses. We are challenged in the historic district for all the reasons that you articulate, and like a lot of those buildings were made when there was no cars. So you're always going to have that struggle, but this is a very elegant solution. I like it. I appreciate that you work so well with the businesses, and I think the Planning Commission on the other issues as well did a really good job in deliberating and arriving at some good solutions. So good job by everyone.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, I thought real creative compromises and everything. I really appreciate the bike racks coming in as part of it. Hopefully people will be driving, having a hard time finding parking, and remember next time they can just bike down or walk down, which is probably what I'll do. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm excited about just having another brewery downtown, and I hear there's going to be specific council member seats at the bar right there that we all get to use, so that's
right, right?
wonderful. No, I'm joking. Anybody hears that, nothing.
Dean's not here, it just goes crazy.
No, but I appreciate, I mean, as Gary mentioned, that corner needs a little love. You know, I was excited when I saw that Dan Reinhardt might actually be involved with building one of his famous walls around there. I think that would be a nice add. The gas lamps, as long as they conform, and I know that the planning commission went over this with tooth and nail as far as the conforming to the rest of the gas lamps downtown. That's a dark corner normally at night, and so that's wonderful. The dumpster, that's a nice trade-off because we lose, you know, ability to put our trash out, and so that's just a great thing. And, you know, having a tasteful enclosure and a dumpster, you know, that fits in with, and I'm sure the planning commission will be all over that. I did have some questions. And this is more about the procedure. When a business opens, what is the formula for how many parking spaces they have? Is it based on capacity?
So the parking ratio that's applied to different types of businesses, we don't actually have one specific to restaurants. So the one that I use is the retail one. It does allow the applicant to provide, provide their own evidence, and the planning commission can take that into account. So that is available to applicants if they wanted to do some kind of parking study. But the ratio is, it's 8 for the first 1,000 square feet, and then 1 space for every 250 square feet thereafter.
Okay. So this question might be for the gentleman. What's the square footage that's going to be expanded? You might know this too, but what was the square footage and how much are you expanding it? You want to come on up? One of you guys come on up. Talk to us.
I don't have the square footage exactly.
Ballpark.
The building itself is 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's small.
It's quite small, and so this is really about the conversion of this kind of unused lot into a beer garden space.
Okay, so more of the conversion is outdoors?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. So when is where are you in the process? Obviously, the planning commission said you need this parking thing to get your C of O, right?
Correct, and with so much money hanging in the balance here, obviously that really impacts our construction plans and budget.
Sure.
So we are very close to getting a building permit, but this was kind of the first step before we could do that.
Well, we're not going to hold it up I'm not going to hold it up any further. I don't know about my colleagues. I think it's just great to have there's some energy down there. Thank you for, it's not for the faint of heart, building or doing anything downtown. So mad respect, on that.
We found that out.
Well, at least you got to a planning commission that deliberates and, is sort of pro-applicant, and I think that's where we are a little
We
bit.
definitely want to thank the planning commission for working with us on this.
Yeah.
And, it's been a long process, but I think we've come to a pretty agreeable solution.
Yeah.
I think one thing I did want to, one kind of variance that I wanted to put forth would be the option of a 24-month payback. So 6 months after the certificate of occupancy is issued, the monthly payments would start for 18 months. I just wanted to put that out there as a possibility. It would, really, really help with our, as a young business, anything helps, so.
Sure. And was that approved by the planning commission? That wasn't voted on?
No, that's a separate conversation
Yeah.
between the property owner and city manager, so.
And that could be a modification in a movement made this
The
evening.
reason for the 1 year is because if you go past the 1 year, it's effectively a loan of city funds, and then we'd be obligated to have a loan instrument and a measure of interest and a variety of other factors that just really make it untenable to do. It would end up costing them more money. They would potentially be able to spread it out over more time, but it'll cost them significantly more money. And the Fed raised the interest rate by 0.25% again today, so it would be even worse today than it was yesterday. But that's the reason for the 1 year, and that's why we do maximum 1 year on any of those. Not that it's insurmountable. You could request that we do that, but then it would have to convert into a loan.
It could also be revisited at a later date.
That's
Once
what
the loan goes into effect, you could return and make a request to deal with it. there are ways to deal with it going forward. But this is by law that Sean's talking about. This is not,
Sure, I was not aware of the,
Yeah.
of the loans.
it's inside baseball, it's.
And as structured, it's a 1-year payment, 12 equal installments that doesn't start until 6 months after their certificate of occupancy.
Okay,
So basically, they're going to open hopefully right after your certificate of occupancy. We'll do a ribbon cutting and start selling beers and snacks and food. And then their first payment wouldn't be due till 6 months after that.
could we push that out another 6 months?
I'm happy to take any direction that you want.
I mean, just to
The
try to get-
resolution as written authorizes me to execute a contract based on your direction.
But we can make a amendment
Yeah.
and in a motion, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, if that's something the council wants, I mean, young business brewery in town. Gary,
I think, yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for you guys. Doug mentioned other beer in town, and there is other beer, but there's no beer garden.
No.
Right? And
It's meant
so,
to be a public meeting area. We're trying to get
Totally.
communal exterior kind of.
That's awesome.
totally, yeah. I would be willing to support that this evening and make if that's an option to extend it an additional 6 months, I would make that amendment and see where the vote goes.
Yeah, is that something that would help? I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
We would really appreciate
Yeah,
that. That would absolutely make a
And, who
difference.
knows if you're going to open the day of, you get your C of O, so there may be,
I need some clarity from the city manager as to whether that's actually,
I think he's looking it up now.
yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I-
We can table this and have this conversation a little later, but I think that,
Well, not too much later, we're going to vote on it.
yeah. No,
And they also
But
need,
I could also.
there's also time sensitive so that they can get this taken care of, so they can get their
Right.
permit.
no,
So
this is going today. We know that, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
we could-
Yeah, I mean, if you're so inclined, you could certainly, take the action tonight, adopt the resolution. My recommendation would be adopt the resolution as written with this 6 months after the certificate of occupancy, 12 equal installments thereafter, but provide me direction to determine
Research.
if it's possible to extend that 6 months, and if it is, give me the authority to execute that, and if it's not, then obviously I wouldn't.
Sure.
Great, that sounds good.
we'll try it. There you go, we'll try it.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, just like stepping back for a minute from this issue, like this is exciting in the fact that like this is the future of Nevada City, like taking what we have and being flexible and finding new solutions and including bike parking and just finding different ways to make it work. Being as supportive to new businesses as we can. And, this kind of falls in line with what I'm always saying is we can be a modern historic town. But it's going to take flexibility and moving and doing things differently. And from what I understand, Amy, this is setting a precedent tonight for other businesses who want to build out and be outdoors more. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and certainly post-COVID, we all know how much we like to gather outside. The other brewery in town had a good thing going out there. I think that you guys have it on lock permanently. I think that's going to be a huge draw.
Well, there's not really any other outdoor seating areas,
No.
which, just hearing the community kind of get back to us, everyone seems to be really excited about it. So,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
even myself, even if it was in my own place, I'm like, want somewhere to go sit down outside and
totally.
hang out.
Bring a dog, bring your kids. It's
Yeah.
very, very
You're
friendly.
going to have
Yeah, you have a
you're going to serve food?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a full restaurant.
Okay, then you can bring your kid. You got to, what's your license type?
So we'll be a bona fide a place of eating,
Okay.
according to the California ABC. So
Nice. You could just serve a hot dog and,
it'll
that
be a
does
full
it.
restaurant, yeah.
That's nice. So you can bring the family, and that's great.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you guys remember during COVID, when the Golden Arrow was outside, that place was bumping, and they're not doing that anymore, unfortunately. So, mad respect. Thank you for doing this. If you guys need anything, call any of us. I know you got Amy on speed dial.
Thank
so.
you. We really appreciate everybody's
Thank you.
support.
Yeah,
It
thanks.
does mean a lot.
Yeah, and then come back to us, and we'll do a nice, a ribbon cutting and do the whole thing, and get some publicity for you guys.
We'd love to.
Yeah. What are your names? I'm sorry.
I'm Ben Buchanan.
Ben.
Jeff Lewis.
What?
Jeff Lewis.
Jeff and Ben. Nice to meet you, Ben.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Guys
I'll
make
see- we'll
ice
see you.
cream or, no?
Anyway, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
I move we
I'd
adopt
like
the
to make
resolution.
an
Let me,
emotion.
I'll make a let me make a motion.
He's got the.
Let me try.
Gary's been
Let me try.
working on this. All right.
You can have it if you want it.
I want you to have it.
No, I want to make the amendment.
Somebody
So-
make the motion.
Okay, consideration, I move that we consider adoption of Resolution 2023-10 to approve a permit in lieu parking payments for the Brew Build Outdoor Building Beer Garden located at 300 Spring Street, with additional direction to the city manager to explore the possibility of deferring payments on this in lieu fee for 1 year. And give him, as written in the ordinance, give him the authority to determine if that's possible and enter into that agreement.
I second.
Can I get a roll? That was beautiful. Can I get a roll call on that?
I see Russ shaking his head yes. That's,
Approval from
good,
Russ.
'cause-
That's, yeah. This is his area of expertise.
Exactly.
Voting.
We need that.
All right. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cece?
Although I am loath to lose the 3 parking spaces in a space that's so tight as the historic district, I am eager to see a beer garden in our downtown.
There you
So,
go.
yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez?
Yes.
And Mayor Fleming?
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Yay. All right. All right. Item number 14 is consideration of the appointment of a council community committee to review and make recommendations on the city's mission and vision statements. Take it away, Sean.
All right. So when you adopted your strategic plan, we reviewed our mission, vision, and value statements. And I'm maybe paraphrasing, but essentially on mission and vision, it was they're okay. They may be flip-flopped from the definition of mission and vision, but certainly good enough to build our strategic plan on. But one of the objectives that you adopted in that strategic plan was that we would revisit them before we adopted our next budget. And so you similarly adopted objective that we would revisit our value statements by then, but provided direction that that be at the council level. This would likely be a community committee partnership, and so the easiest one, the one that fits the best of our existing committees, would be to place it with the Vibrancy Committee and have them have a public hearing on the topic. Certainly, the options are up to you. It could be a full council workshop. It could be handled at a regular council meeting as an agendized item, or you could give it to a different committee if you didn't like the Vibrancy Committee. And lastly, you could create a brand new committee, or in this case, task force, temporarily to take this assignment. But the easiest place, or the place that fits the easiest, would be Vibrancy, but completely up to you. To meet that timeline, because we have a budget workshop scheduled May 3rd, and then we'll adopt the budget, if you're so inclined, on June 14th of this year. We would like to have this committee, or whatever committee you assign, meet by April 28th. So a little bit more than a month. It may take 2 meetings, it may only take 1. Obviously, we would invite anybody in the community or the surrounding communities that are stakeholders that have any interest there, but also the committee could, invite from other committee members that have attended the Vibrancy or Housing or anybody else before. So pretty easy one. I just wanted to put it in front of you because we hadn't talked about how we would secure that objective and see which direction you want to take.
Thank you. I think we should have a weekend retreat with all of us and just really bang it out. At the beer garden. No, I think you're looking.
you're full of jokes tonight, huh?
You weren't sure.
I wasn't sure.
No, Vibrancy, it makes sense to me. And I've been through a lot of this. I'd love to see the Vibrancy Committee to come up with something that makes sense. I mean, it's a different time. I think it could do a little sprucing up and actually adherence to what a mission and a value is and all that stuff too. So, but first, I'd like to ask for public comment.
Next.
Next, yeah. Online.
If you'd like to speak on this item, please raise your hand, lower right-hand corner.
This is the one.
We have none.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor.
then,
I'm
let's,
going to jump in. I support vibrancy. I would have liked to have been on this committee regardless. I would love to facilitate a process with Adam on this and with council's support. Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
I think that's the best place for it to be with you and you know, this is.
It's a room with a lot of poets in it. I'm saying in favor.
Well, you're
Who
a
knows where it's
poet,
better?
you're a poet, and so, so it's right.
He's a
in your wheelhouse.
lyricist.
Thank you. Thank you. That's
So we'll
true.
have sheet music for our mission.
I'll come up with a melody, and they'll come up with the lyrics.
So, in all seriousness, would you like to,
Yeah, I think that's the best place for it, for
okay.
sure.
Gary?
Yeah, no, glad I'm not doing it.
I've never heard you say that.
I signed up for community power tonight, already, and my wife did look at me and say, oh, another committee.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah, so,
good, it's in good hands.
yeah.
I will say we'll be missing the initial editing of Councilmember Cece here, but I imagine it will go through that filter at some point.
Yes.
If you wanted to, yes.
Yes, well, you should just send it to him before he comes here, so he could give his,
There's a Brown Act violation in that.
oh,
I
there
believe.
you go, good, all right. Okay, so this is really exciting. Where are we in this process? We're still talking and we got to vote. I'm done talking.
Awesome.
So oh, stop. I haven't talked that much. Okay, so we've done this, roll call, please. Or motion.
I move we appoint the selected council committee, being Vibrancy, for review of the city's mission and vision statements.
I second that.
Okay, a first by Adam, a second by Daniela. And can I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Cece?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fernandez?
Yes.
And Mayor Fleming?
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Boom. Okay, so now it's time for our city manager's report and council members' report and just a little chit chat. Do you want to go first, Sean?
Sure. We are 59 minutes in, 14 items. That's pretty good. Thank you for that. You adopted your vegetation management and defensible space ordinance on the consent calendar, second reading this evening. As you know from the last meeting, it's a comprehensive rewrite of our ordinance and aligns it with the state and county standards that surround us. While it is a more robust and somewhat more restrictive standard, it is also something that will be easier to be understood by our community members and allow us the ability to use standardized forms and approach and communication strategies. So in that regard, we'll do a press release this week to share with the community and our partners what that is and what the community can expect, because our inspections will start, Chief Goodspeed is in the room behind me, inspections start May 1st. We will be mailing out to everyone a letter informing them of that and the inspection checklist and that kind of thing, but we want to get ahead of it and share that it's coming before they get that letter. So market this a lot more than we did last year. It won't be enough. Next year will be better, and it still won't be enough. But eventually, it'll just be part of the DNA of the way the city approaches being a fire-safe environment. But appreciate you adopting that. Appreciate the Fire Safety Advisory Committee and all their efforts to get it to where it is. And I look forward to that being a very good tool of action. We're not looking to find people. We're really looking for partnership with the community to improve the overall fire-safe condition out there. So in the same vein, we should be having a spring, early summer green waste cleanup event, and we hope to announce that in the mailings that we send to everyone and lock that down with Waste Management. Previously, Councilmember and Mayor Aaron Minette's strong work, and now will be Councilmember Klein's strong work in that regard. So there's a lot of green waste on the ground from the storms, so giving opportunities for folks to bring that up to the Root Center, and then hopefully other areas in town as we go will be on the way. It's been a lot of weather. We had a declared disaster. For a lot of people, it seems like it's over, but the impacts are still there. If folks don't know, Short-term emergency unemployment benefits are available. You can apply on the EDD website, and good resources from the county out of the economic development unit on that, and good business support from our Chamber of Commerce. You don't have to be a member of our Chamber of Commerce to get help for disaster recovery. So we're always happy to help at the city side, but two good resources out of the county and
that's on
out
our
of the chamber.
website as well?
Yes.
It is, okay. Good.
And that's all I have for you this evening, Mr. Mayor, other than I would like to thank you for the opportunity to write that proclamation this evening. If it didn't read through, I have several daughters who, I tell all the time they can be anything that they want to be, and I truly believe that. If you didn't like the wording, I'm okay with that, but, it was
I
heartfelt.
didn't like
so.
it, you would have known.
You would have heard that. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was Daniela who wrote it. It was so, heartfelt.
It was powerful
It
and
was,
very
yeah.
impressive. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you.
And it's nice to understand the context of in which you wrote it with your daughters as the backdrop. I think that's just beautiful. So, did they get to read it?
Oh, yes.
Did they comment?
Oh, yeah, Ed edited, and they
They
found
wrote it.
that I put, I apparently, instead of writing that, I wrote hat. They told me this afternoon, so we changed that quickly. It's in the one that you read.
Yeah, no, oh, that's awesome. All right, so, and are we pushing stuff out on social media too? Are we posting things on it? Are we doing
We
this?
do, but we're not great at it. Certainly, if
Vibrancy is going to work on a plan for that.
yes, yeah, and we're going to,
Please.
yep.
It's been a long-term project
Good,
of
good,
mine.
good, good.
And having someone that will be doing the plan, executing the plan will be important as well.
I did add a link tree, so now we have links in our profile.
No. Why did we lose pictures on our profiles? Was that a thing? We used to have photos on there? Was there a reason? Safety? City website? Yeah.
Oh, we took it down after, I'm not sure if it was after, it was COVID. It was sort of the vitriol that was coming. We took our pictures down.
Before my time, but I can revisit that with you if you would like
I'd love
in the
that.
future.
Yeah, I think we can put
I think
photos
I
back.
think, just to see, look, he's too good looking to not have up there. Sorry. Yeah, so, anybody, okay, Gary, you have anything?
Yes, a couple things. I was trying to remember if
Sit forward, Gary, so we can all hear you.
Thank you.
You're worth
Let's
hearing.
see, was I at the Congressman's meeting before the last meeting? Did I report on that before? No, okay.
Yeah.
It's,
did you?
I did?
I wasn't at the last meeting. I looked it online, no.
I attended at the Root Center, Congressman Kiley came to review the disaster area. We met with county staff, the EOC, got a great briefing on that, learned a lot about the issues, had the opportunity to speak to the council member, the congressman about the needs in the area. It was great. It was put together really quickly with the county and Grass Valley and Nevada City were able to do that. I think others may want to speak to the ribbon cutting that at Cash and Fields the other day, which was really a spectacular event and a long time coming. It was really wonderful. Also, I had my first in-person LAFCO meeting, and I kind of was, had to have a conversation with Sean because, I'm planning and LAFCO, I wasn't sure I wanted to do this. Land right in the middle of the dissolution of the Rough and Ready Fire District, and there's some really important work that LAFCO is going to be taking up in the next several months about the future of districts, and that's what LAFCO falls under. So very important work. I'm glad I'm there. And then I'm looking forward to sitting on the board for the Community Aggregate Power. So,
Yeah, thank you for that, Gary.
Yes, yeah, thank you.
I
think
get
you're
a
the
real
guy.
passion for that stuff. And,
Yeah, you're the guy for that,
and,
thank you.
But I'm happy to do it. And so thank you.
Yeah, tell your wife thank you too. Yeah, because Danielle.
Yeah, so Adam and I have a Vibrancy Committee meeting next Thursday here in this room at 6 o'clock. We will be reviewing a draft of a public arts ordinance, which we're excited to be doing. So please, artists, artisans of all types, come out and give your input. Tomorrow evening at the Miners Foundry A friend of mine, a high school senior named Maddox Eckerling, is putting on his senior project from 6:30 to 8. It's called Strength and Pride. He's organized a youth and LGBTQ plus youth panel where they will be answering a series of questions and talking about their experiences as queer youth in our community. I think it'll be a great opportunity for the community to learn straight from the youth. And a subsect of our youth that is not very served in this community or underserved. I had the pleasure of mentoring Maddox through this process, but mentoring's a funny thing. I'm not sure who mentored who. I feel very mentored through the process as well, and so please come out. Miners Foundry tomorrow, 6:30 to 8.
6:30, okay.
And then, just Cashin's Field ribbon cutting was wonderful, long time coming. I was able to meet a few residents, which was really nice. Look forward to more of that. It was nice to see all of the stakeholders in the room and all of the different people that helped make it happen, and just really excited to have 100 plus new residents in Nevada City.
Thank you, Daniela. Lou?
I'd also like to say a little something about the Cashin's Field dedication. I was particularly moved by Shelley Culvert's speaking before the crowd. And if you went out and read the stone that is the Nisenan recognition out front, that is also very moving. And it uses the word Takudi, which means little field. And I'm so happy that we are able to visibly support the regeneration of that language, the revitalization of that language, because the intellectual capital of a community diminishes whenever a language dies. And so I'm glad to see that that happened. I'm also want to congratulate Maddox Eckerling. I wish I could be there tomorrow, but I will be in New Orleans doing a book reading for my latest book. So much congratulations to him. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, Lou. Cashin's Field was really cool. Our council didn't have that much to do with it, per se. I think we put some money in the Housing Trust Fund. But just to see, the collective work of all the people who came together and to hear some of the backstories of how some of the things actually went down is really interesting. But I got to meet some of the residents, Irv and Maeve Fry, and they were, they did a great feature on them. They were great, and they reached out to me, and I got back to them, and I'm going to try to set up a food bank distribution there. I'm going to talk to some of the people there because we don't do a distribution in Nevada City at all. And, and there hasn't been a good reason or a good place. Everybody usually gets, there's a reason always to give people food. So that's really exciting. And it just was nice to just see the energy there and just to really understand, the amount of people that it took to make that happen. And in a day and age where people say building housing is really difficult, it is. This was done in record time with a lot of support and in buy-in from a lot of the community. And I think for us, and I said this before, I'm going to say it again, I think this is a model for what else we can do in our community as far as housing, and then we can do the same thing with workforce housing next. And there's funding there. We have some good partners who may be able to help us with, the development and construction, and they understand all this. We're working a lot on affordable housing financing right now all over the Bay, and I would just love to be able to bring some of that grant money to us and to get some, artist lofts or something really, really nice built for our community. Other than that, I got a chance, and I probably need to talk to you about this too. I said, talk to Shelley. I got a chance to meet with Don Ryberg of the Maidu. They invited me out to talk to them about some things. And it was just really interesting hearing, their experience and their, hopes and dreams. And there's just a lot that we just don't know. It was funny that Judith said this today. I just read an article about land acknowledgements being lip service and just going through the motions. But, I think, really thanks to Daniela Fernandez, we're not, as a council, we're not just going through the motions, you know, and I appreciate that. And I was able to read this article and go, oh, no, it's a problem. And then I said, wait, you know, we're doing this. Well, Danielle is helping us do this. And so that's really important. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Doug.
And with that, you know, I'm looking for,
I'd love to give a council member report, Mr. Mayor.
oh, yeah, I'm looking for a council member report because.
Before he cries,
That's
please.
definitely what you're going to say.
Yeah.
I've got Vibrancy coming up and also the Seven Hills business meeting and the downtown business meetings coming up. I wanted to point out something that might be under the radar that I was involved in that was very fun at the gem of Nevada City, one of many gems of Nevada City, the Narrow Gauge Railroad Museum. I was asked to participate in a video project to educate folks about Sarah Kidder, who's the first woman to run a railroad. And that was with Wendy Willoughby from the school board and Chamber Award winner Kimberly Ewing and Robert Trent from Sierra Commons, Mike Keene from KVMR. So this Friday, I believe at 12:30 at the museum, they'll be showing this video we made. I was not telling anybody I did it until I had seen the video, but now that I've seen it, I think it's okay. So everyone should check that out, unless you're in, you know, Nollins or something. But yeah, I believe 12:30 this coming Friday, and then it will be at the museum playing on a loop or something through June.
That's so cool.
But yeah, you can bring the kids, and if you haven't ridden on that little train, well, you got to do that.
Or visit that museum.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And their workshop and that
Yeah,
stuff.
volunteer, the
Oh my
volunteer
God,
workshop
they're
is
artisans.
incredible.
I mean, they
yeah.
rebuild, you know, things. Apologies, you know, I just, you know.
I am gonna.
Yeah, I know. I'm in the tool shed or in
Yeah.
the doghouse or whatever it is. Thank you. Do you have anything more to add?
I think that's all I got. Do I?
Do we-
We'll figure out.
Business
The business. Yeah, that's with Lou. That's right. That's right. That's end of the month.
The 29th?
Yeah.
2
You'll be
p.m.
back
Right here?
2 p.m. Unless I get a job.
My body will be back.
Okay, your body will be
Your mind
back.
might still be in New Orleans.
I'll do most of the talking.
And so.
I move that we adjourn.
Hold on one second.
I second.
Too late. The business committee, you guys are going to be doing cannabis, right? Is that going on?
I need to rephrase that.
Not personally, no.
Diana will be presenting on the topic.
Okay, good.
Are you sure you're not ready to adjourn?
Now I'm ready.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Oh, I don't have to do that. Anyway, thank you, council. Thank you for a wonderful meeting. Thank you, public. Thank you, Gabby. You know what, Gabby?
Happy birthday, Gabby.
Yeah. Your hair looks really great, Gabby.